Hi, welcome to James Miller Lifeology, where you learn to simplify and transform your spirit, mind, and body. My name is James Miller. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and a composer. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Let's get started. I wanted to take just a quick moment to thank you all who continually support and listen to James Miller Lifeology. I have been so blessed and honored by your continual support. I wanted to make sure that you don't miss out on anything exciting that's happening over here. So make sure you sign up for my free newsletter at jamesmillerlifeology.com. I have a great show for you today. I'm going to help you expand your level of integrity. I'll also be interviewing Rita P Mitchell, who is an author and a seasoned veteran of the financial services industry with approximately 40 years of experience. She reviews her book, Own Your Phenomenal Self, a guide on character, success, and leadership, which is an honest, practical guide that empowers young women to tap into the power they've had all along. Rita teaches that no matter your background, experience, education, or credentials, you could have what you want out of life, and you can have it on your terms. For more information about Rita, please visit ritapmitchell.com. You may also purchase her book on Amazon or in the previous guest sections in both stores at jamesmillerlifeology.com or at lifeology.tv. I have some exciting news. Did you know that I'm on the radio 3 times a week? You may hear me on the same station on Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m., Fridays at 9:30 a.m., and Saturdays at 12:30 p.m. You may also hear me anytime on iHeartRadio as well as on all the other major podcasting platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and many others. Simply search for the show name, James Miller Lifeology. Are you struggling today to find your purpose? Has mediocrity set in and you can't imagine doing the same thing for the rest of your life? Are your relationships struggling or you aren't sure how to make long-lasting changes in your life? Then today, contact me, James Miller. I will help you recognize the areas in your life that are going really well, and then we'll look at the areas in which you are struggling. We will create actionable solutions to help you create long-lasting changes in your life. You don't have to do this alone. Go to my website, jamesmillerlifeology.com, and click on the page Work with James. Fill out the form, and it will be sent directly to me. Don't let another day go by without finding your way. Your change can start today. Once again, go to my website, jamesmillerlifeology.com, and click on the page Work with James. Fill out that form to get started today. Expanding your level of integrity. We all know at least one person that is unpredictable. We're often not sure if they're going to laugh at something or they're going to be angry about something. And that uncertainty causes us to feel a certain way when we're around them. Sometimes we feel like we're walking in eggshells, or sometimes we just avoid them. But did you know that you do that to yourself sometimes? We often think, and rightly so, that we have a high level of integrity. We know what's right from wrong, and we're very proud of that character trait. However, it is important for us to look at our own discrepancy at times when we do something in our thoughts. If I continually tell myself I'm not good at something, well, then my actions are going to demonstrate that. But if I tell the world around me, yes, I have a strong work ethic, or I'm a devoted friend, those two elements don't really sync together. Yes, our behaviors demonstrate that, but the integrity of our thoughts do not demonstrate that. The more consistent we are with our thoughts and our actions having the same voice, if you will, or same character attributes, we will become much more successful and much more balanced in our life. When someone says something to you that offends you, what do? When you have a spike of emotions, is it within the parameters or within the boundaries of what you think integrity looks like? Or if you find that someone's gossiping or you're gossiping, is that part of your integrity? When we can understand our thoughts and our emotions and know that when something blindsides us, because that's real life, we know that when we are blindsided, we will respond in a certain way. We know that we can trust ourselves not to get lost in despair. We can trust ourselves to know that we will find a way out. Yes, there's a proper time of grieving or proper time of wrapping your head around something, but as you continually have this understanding that when powerful emotions happen to you or very dire-some thoughts pass through your mind, you know that it's not going to stick in your mind. You know that you're not going to get lost in that. Because once you get to know yourself more, you will know that when anything happens in life, you know what the parameters or the boundaries are for your personality, for your ability to bounce back. But the difficulty is, if we don't ask the question, what am I learning about myself right now? After an event happens, unfortunately, we won't realize if we really can trust ourselves in all situations because we didn't have that internal debrief. The internal debrief is the most important thing we can do for self-development. When you know what you've learned, you know that the next time you get blindsided by this particular thought or emotion, you know how to handle it. But if we don't allow our integrity to manifest in all areas of our life and sometimes just cherry pick what we think integrity looks like, we won't be able to fully trust ourselves. And the more you're able to trust yourself, the more successful you're going to be. So my challenge is simply this. At night before you go to bed, ask yourself, what did I learn about myself today? What were some things that I was really proud of? What are some things that I could work on? The goal is to be able to do this in the moment, but as you're going to bed, it is good to review what the lessons were that day. Because the more you can really absorb those lessons, the more you're going to develop and to become even more great than you currently are. Did you know I have a YouTube channel? That's actually how Lifeology started. I have well over 155 episodes that I've created specifically for you. I do know that many people struggle with listening to a full 30-minute show. So these episodes are about 3 minutes long. Each episode will give you a practical tool or technique that you can practice daily to help you simplify and transform your spirit, mind, and body. Simply go to my website, jamesmillerlifeology.com, or go to YouTube and search for my name, James Miller Lifeology. Rita P Mitchell is an overcomer. In a career spanning nearly 4 decades, she has navigated countless roadblocks and conquered numerous obstacles to accomplish her personal and professional goals in the very competitive financial services industry. Rita became president of her own insurance and securities brokerage firm, spoke on the TEDx stage, and has been a frequent contributor to Black Enterprise magazine. She's here today to discuss her book, Own Your Phenomenal Self, which is an honest, practical guide that empowers young women to tap into the power they have had all along and to own it. Welcome to my show, Rita.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited about being here today.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you to be on the show as well. We were talking a little bit in the virtual green room, and your book is not only for women, but it's also for men as well, because you come from a place of integrity. And that is something we all really need to strive more to have, is that integrity, because without it, what's left?
I agree. I totally agree with that.
Now, for 4 years, I mean, I'm looking at you right now, and I can't believe you've been in your industry for 40 years. Or 40 years, it's amazing.
Yes, I am. I say I'm old. I just turned 61. And
wow, you look amazing.
Thank you. But look, if I turned around, there are a lot of stripes on this bike, and so I wrote the book because I had a lot to say about it, and sure. I learned a lot in that journey. But I do have 40 years of financial services career and success.
Well, let's just jump right into it. So, what was the need or the reason for this book? Because you looked around and you saw something. What did you see?
Well, first of all, I had something to say. And to me, I liken this book to having journeyed to Mount Everest. And so you had a huge journey. You didn't think you'd get it done. You got it done. And then someone stepped back and said, hey, I'm going to do it. What would you not do? What did you learn? Or they say, Rita, go back and do it again. What would you do differently? In addition to that, I have a 33-year-old daughter who is in a corporate career track. And so, we're talking every night, and she's highly educated and highly motivated, but she's still in a corporate landscape. And so all of my career, I've always mentored. My pleasure and purpose has been to empower young women. And so the book was written to do that. I wanted to write a book like Who Moved My Cheese, something that was short. You could take on a plane or a train, 90 minutes or less, and then stop, reflect, and change.
Yes. And
you would be empowered to go back into the work environment and have some ammunition, or how do I deal with this, or how do I deal with that? And so I wanted to capture what I had learned. And so that was why I wrote the book. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. And I like the fact that it's shorter in the perspective you can read it in one setting. Sometimes when books are too prolific or too dense, you read so much and then you come back and like, wait a minute, what I read was really important, but what was it? It's too much. So I'm really glad this is a really practical book.
Yeah.
When you look at the culture nowadays, and you look at the young women who are becoming professionals, who are coming into themselves, what would be the biggest, I don't want to say concern, but what would be the biggest thing you noticed thus far?
Well, so I get a lot of questions from women. And so the big issue, especially when you're starting out, is really the confidence. And I get that question all along. Where do you get the confidence? How do I know when I should negotiate? How do I know when I need to go, to another job? I mean, how much should I take? So the confidence issue, I think is a big issue when you're really starting your career. And I think that the other issue is believing that you are enough, you have enough because you were created with enough.
Yes,
and so
right.
the issue is the work of the journey. So the issue is, do you know for sure your true north? Do you know what you want to do, how you want to live, where you want to go? And then really defining that journey. And do you have enough? Have you done enough work to really accomplish the goal?
Sure. With hard work comes success. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of times we're not thinking that way. You know, we're going in, we're clocking in. We think that if we come to work, especially as a young woman, we think if we come to work and we do everything right, that the boss is going to look at us and say, man, you are so good. I'm going to, what about this? What about a 20% raise? What about this? Why did I promote you? There's just so much more to it in a corporate environment. And I think from a young woman's perspective, or even just a young person's perspective, we think that if we can cooperate ourselves into success, and it's just so much more to it than that. And it's understanding the work environment, the landscape, the power of the politics, all of that goes into this journey of success. And so I think as a young person, and I hope I answered your question, I think as a young person, you just don't have the scope of the whole thing when you start.
You don't know what you don't know.
Second job. Exactly. That's better said.
But I'm also hearing you merging or bridging together one's self-perception and one's career goals, or the beginning of the career goals. So when you merge those together or try to merge them together, it's often unformed, it's skewed a bit, and it takes a little bit of time to kind of figure that out.
And most people, I know for me, the way that I figured it out was with each experience, right? I had mentors, but still it was experience by experience, the learning of it. And so the book hopefully is a guide that kind of gives you a bigger overview, and you will see yourself in different situations and possibly not know that's really where you are. So hopefully the reading of it becomes more insightful and reflective, and then you're getting ahead of something versus responding to something.
In your book, you actually write with 3 different components. And what are the 3, I guess, tenets of your book that you kind of talk about?
So the book is built on 3 building blocks, which the first one is character. The second is success. The third is leadership. And the fourth part of the book is owning your purpose, and there's no change without change. So the work of the journey. Okay, perfect. And so the building blocks, and I wrote them that way because to me, this is really how you get to the work of the journey. And so I say that you can't have lasting success without good, strong character. You can have success, but not lasting success. And good character is built on integrity, honesty, hard work, being trustworthy. From those things, that leads to lasting success. And so, then we talk about, if you're doing those things, then success is going to come to you. So we talk about that. But
I think it's also, and I think I love those 3 tenets. I think it also, just to piggyback off what you said though, success, when you have the aspects of your character, which is part of your integrity, your perception of what success is changes. Because, for example, a person can think, oh, I'm so successful here, but if you clawed your way to the top in an unhealthy way, then that's not a foundation that's built on sand, if you will, is going to collapse. And so there's no way it's going to maintain. So I think the integrity part is so important, because when you can create those small little choices that you make, which make to such strength, then when the tempest hits or the storm hits, you're still going to stand. And I think that's
because you're gonna have to make some tough decisions on the journey to success. There'll be peer pressure, politics. There's one of the chapters is talking about staying out of the buffet line, which is the gray space when it's not totally right, totally wrong. What do you do in that gray space? So you've got to have strong character to be able to weed in and weed out, to say yes or no, who you are, who you're not, because otherwise you're like a leaf in the wind. I mean, you're just roaming around, and so that strong foundation of character becomes your guiding light as you filter in and filter out, and you go on this journey to where you say you want to go.
When you talk about peer pressure, what are ways in which women, because as just an elephant in the room here, men have more power, unfortunately, in the corporate world, and especially white males as well. And so for women of color like yourself, so successful, when you had peer pressure, how did you say, no, my integrity is this?
Mm-hmm. Again, I think that you have to know what it is that you're trying to do. So you've got to have a personal agenda of what it is you're trying to do. And again, to know and be grounded in what you feel is right and wrong. I mean, if you don't know, you cannot sort this.
That's true.
Right? If you don't know what's right and wrong, there's no
that's
way
a whole
you can
other
sort
show.
through. That's a whole other show. So, it's a reflection of that, your character. What do you believe? Yeah. And only then, if the peer pressure, if say, and this is kind of my bottom line, if what you are about, the decision that you're about to make, if you are not willing to go and tell the CEO of the company that you just did this, if you're not willing to have CBS News, any news station, put a mic in front of your face and have you explain to the world what you just did, if you're not willing to put on a billboard that your mother can read, then that's a decision that you should make. And it really, and so you can sort through that, because if you're not willing to go to the top of the house and do that, tell them there's something in it. There's something gray in it that is a questionable thing of why you're doing it, and whether that is because you think you might garner more success quicker, you might be more popular, whatever that might be. There's something in that decision that is not right, and you are succumbing to whatever that peer pressure might be.
Which is then the entry point for more peer pressure. And pretty soon that I guess that metric of the barometer starts to change, and then something becomes it becomes a new norm. And in that new norm, it's just like you wake up 20 years later, how did I get here?
How did I get here? And that happens all the time. How did I get here? The other thing I say about peer pressure is this too, is that, and my husband is a retired PE teacher and coach, and there's a chapter, again, talking about this buffet line. So the question becomes here, if there are 20 people, you're going to make this decision, there'll be consequences, and they're only going to punish one person. And you are going to be that one person that gets punished. Would you still make that decision?
Oh, interesting.
So would you still make the decision, and would you carry the weight of the whole decision if you're the only one that's going to have the consequence? Now, if you can say yes to that, then that means that you are convicted and you believe in what you're going to do.
Yes.
If you're going to say no to that, then that's peer pressure. That is peer pressure all day long. And you're hoping that whatever happens, there are 20 of you, it won't be that bad. You might get a little bit of it. But would you carry the weight of whatever the consequence would be? If not, then you're being influenced by peer pressure, the spreading out of risk among the people.
Sure.
Yes.
And that's a huge buy-in for anybody to make a decision like that. To have that, like you said, that conviction that one feels beyond a shadow of a doubt. I know that this is a healthy choice. I mean, that is something to really understand. I love the litmus test that you have as far as what you said earlier, the billboard, talking to the CEO, talking to the news, talking would you be willing to take the brunt of all this? That's very powerful and very practical.
And I'd say, and this is kind of off paces, but you can sort through a lot of different things. I mean, I managed a lot of people during this career as well. And the same thing goes for emails. I mean, whatever you're going to write in an email, are you okay with what you're about to say going to the CEO? If you are not, pick up the phone. If you are not, I mean, so, when people, I mean, really, I mean, if I can't print this off and hand it to the CEO, why will you put that in paper? Why would you write that down? So you can begin to learn what it is that you really believe in your inner core if you start sorting some of these decisions. Because a lot of the questions I get, well, how do I know? What if I'm not sure? You can begin to use that just as some tools that you'll have clarity of what you really feel about something if you sort it that way.
Because everybody can relate to one of the examples that you gave.
Yes.
Would you want your mom to read this, or would you want your the CEO or the news? I mean, and my listeners as well, this also goes for text messages, as in your personal life, people. There's pictures that are sent over, we've heard so many things in the tabloids. And so it's so important for all of us to remember, be smart about what you write out, or what you write. Be smart what you put on social media, because it can always come back to bite you.
Yeah, and it lasts forever, right?
It does.
And this tech stuff, do you want your mom to see you on the billboard? really? No. No. And I'll just stop right there. But it's you can sort through these decisions if you're not sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And which I think is incredibly practical. You talk about a few other chapters in here. And I love the fact that you use such anecdotes that people are really relatable, like I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
What is the one that you talk about with dealing with funky monkeys?
Well, I love that.
That's funny.
Yeah, I know. It really is. I almost named the book that. Kick the funky monkey to the curb. And they were like, no, that's just really not it. So I liken that to going to the circus. And the first time I ever saw a monkey was at the circus. And, when you go to the circus, there are all kind of things happening. You have the elephants, you have the tigers, you have the lions. But there's always kind of this animal that's not cooperating. It may not come out of the cage. The monkey is not going to cooperate. And I say so. I liken the trials and tribulations. You're not getting the raise you want. You're not getting promoted. You have a gross boss. Any of these things in the circus. If one funky monkey does not cooperate, they don't shut the circus down, do they? They keep because the show is the circus is the show. Yeah. They just get another monkey out. And they keep going on. True. All right. We don't all go home and say, well, I'm sorry, I'm shutting the circus down. So you have to think about that as it relates to your journey, to your success. You can't let one funky monkey, one little thing stop your progress of what you want to do. So either you have to have the wherewithal to go over, go around, go under to stay on your journey to your success. And you cannot be stopped by one funky thing that's happening in your life if your desire for success is greater than that.
How badly do you want it? Sure.
And that's what that's about. So you have to look at the obstacles as just a funky monkey that won't come out of the cage. What are you going to do? You're going to get another one out. You're going to keep going. And that's the bottom line of that story.
What I really like as well is that can be from a day-to-day thing. Let's say you have a presentation and all of a sudden your projector doesn't work.
Yes.
What am I going to do? Darn it. I mean, that's happened to all of us.
Yes.
On my show, things like that have happened before. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Something like that to something greater where you were in line for promotion. It was supposed to be yours. And all of a sudden it was just ripped away from you. All of those aspects that monkey can be from the way I hear this, from a small situational moment by moment thing, which doesn't feel small in the moment, to something huge for your career. And I think just like you said before, when it comes back to your character and how bad do you want something, you then say, okay, this is a stumbling block or it's a stepping stone.
Exactly.
Which way do I want to look at this? What do I do? Do I go over and above it, or do I just sit here and let it stop me as well?
Yeah. And I'm a big John Maxwell fan. Amazing, and amazing. And one of his things is you win or you learn. And so there's a lesson in most things. And so if you lose, are you losing or are you learning? And then the other thing I would say about this chapter, which is important, is that you don't let a funky monkey rob you of being a positive person and having a great attitude. And so even if the things that you don't agree with are happening at work, maybe you do need to go somewhere else. But until the day that you leave, you still are an employee there. You still should come to work with a great attitude. You should give it your all, because you shouldn't let a situation or a person or an environment change your personality into something that you don't want to be at the end of the day. Right. And that happens too.
Well, it comes back to your integrity, what you said before.
Exactly.
Your integrity will always define you.
Exactly.
And that's for what you'll be known. And, and also a situation that happens, that doesn't have to define you unless you want it to define you.
Exactly. You're choosing.
Exactly. And so we have so much more power, I think, than we realize, that when we allow circumstances to dictate our mood or dictate our thoughts, that's a choice we've given. We've willingly said, here, take everything. Tell me what I should do with this. And then all of a sudden I feel like I'm disempowered.
Yeah. And there's a chapter called Own Your Power in the book. And that really is the bottom line, is that your journey belongs to you. You're in control of what is happening to you. You're in control of what you allow to happen to you. Now, that doesn't mean you can just quit your job tomorrow or do something ridiculous and end up being homeless. But at the same time, you are empowered as an individual, as a human being. You were created with enough to figure out the next thing you need to do to get you where you want to go, to a positive environment, to better pay, to being an entrepreneur, whatever that is, you are in control of your own journey. You're not a victim.
Yes,
you are
right.
in control. You're empowered. So now the question becomes, if you have the power and it's not happening, are you doing the work? Are you doing the right work? Do you have enough to do the work?
Yes.
What is it you need to do to strengthen what belongs to you? And that is the crux of the book.
Yes, I love it.
Owning your phenomenal self. You own, you're phenomenal, and you own that. No, you're not a victim of. You own who you are.
Yes. And at the end of the day, we are who we want to be.
That's right. We're exactly.
Well, Rita P. Mitchell, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on my show today. I can't believe our timer is already up. If my listeners would like to find out more information about you and to purchase this book, Own Your Phenomenal Self, where would they find this information online?
Well, they should go to my website, which is my name, ritapmitchell.com. So that's easy. And on my website, there are resources in general. I write a monthly blog. There's also the link to Amazon where you can purchase the book, and the book is on Amazon. It's only $10.99, so it's a really reasonable price, and so it's affordable. So if they just go to my website, everything I'm there. The book is there. Resources to help you along your journey are there. Wonderful. So I would just recommend that.
Wonderful. Well, my listeners also know that if they're not able to find your book anyplace else, simply go to both stores at either jamesmillerlifeology.com or lifeology.tv. Awesome. And in the store, in the previous guests section, they can purchase the book there through Amazon. Rita P. Mitchell, thank you once again for being a fantastic guest on my show today. I really had a great time.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate being on the show.
I also want to thank you, the listener, for tuning in today. Please subscribe to this radio show through whichever portal you joined with us today, or please go to my website where you may sign up for my free newsletter, watch my YouTube episodes, read the articles I've written specifically for you, or you may enroll in the Lifeology Academy where you can take self-directed courses which will help you simplify and transform your spirit, mind, and body. If you'd like to personally work with me, be a guest on, or advertise on this show, simply visit jamesmillerlifeology.com. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms under the name James Miller Lifeology, except for Twitter, which is James M. Lifeology. Once again, thank you so much for your support, and I'll talk to you soon.